Welcome, and hello to Dragon Age 101, your non-spoilery guide to Dragon Age. I'm Ghil, your lore archivist, and I'm here to help guide you on what Dragon Age media to play, skip, and overall just avoid in preparation for Dragon Age Veilguard. Now, to start, I'm splitting this guide up into 5 different levels of media consumption to suit different needs. The laziest, the fastest, the cheapest, the recommended, and the complete. The laziest. Technically, the fastest and cheapest option is just do nothing. If you are new to the series, while each game does have story beats and lore that tie into one another, the protagonist is different every time. It's also been almost 10 years since the last game in the series, and while this new game already promises to tie into the last one, I would not be shocked if BioWare wasn't also keeping in mind that real-life time gap. If you really aren't feeling like picking up any of the games or novels I talk about in the next few minutes here, then don't. The series has a history of telling you what you need to know, and the previous material just kind of helps give depth to what's happening. Would you be missing out on context? Yes. Would that lack of context make the game incomprehensible? I don't think so, no. So it's really your choice. Life is too short to do homework on a video game you don't even know you enjoy yet, and that's coming from someone who loves the series. The fastest. The fastest way to understand what's going on in the series is just getting people who have played the series to tell you what's going on. This can come up in the form of talking to an obsessed friend, reading parts of the Dragon Age wiki, or looking at videos on YouTube. Now, I currently have a long list of videos on a number of topics, but some of them can get quite lengthy and technical. However, from now until the release of Veilguard, I will be making shorter, easier to digest lore content to help newcomers and just people who need a little help remembering. Down below, I've linked a few playlists on different videos that you can take a look at, including me just reading in-game codex entries if that's more your jam. I'm not the only Dragon Age content creator out there as well, so on screen are a few places I suggest, with links to all of them down below as well. The cheapest. So times are tough. Yeah, you know what? Believe me, I get it. But you like the world of Thetis and want to know more. Hey, that's great. Skipping any illegal recommendations, there is a lot of free media to help you on your lore journey. Now, if you only want to stick with official media, there is a collection of short stories written by the various writers of the games on the official BioWare website. The ones on there currently promise to be tied into Dragon Age Veilguard in some way, but if you are craving more, the Dragon Age wiki has some of the older ones archived in an easy-to-read place. The wiki also has all of the codex entries for the series readable on there, so I've linked all of that down below. Let's move on to non-official sources. Now, the Dragon Age wiki, again, is one of the better fan wikis I've actually come across, so if you want to research topics or Dragon Age specific terms, this is the place to start. And if you prefer to listen to your lore, YouTube is, again, the place to go. Now, I've already mentioned my collection. I'll be skipping that. Moving on. But hey, remember that free stuff in real life exists too. Now, depending on where you live and what language you speak, you might be able to check out the Dragon Age novels at your local library, or listen to the audiobook versions via your library as well. At this moment, the most important book to get your hands on would be Tevinter Nights, which sadly is the only one without an audiobook format. After that, I would pick up The Last Flight and then Masked Empire in that order. Now, depending on what gaming systems you own, you might even be able to rent one of the games from your local library as well. I will say that this does seem to be rare, but it never hurts to ask, and most library catalogs can be seen online if you just don't like talking to real people. The recommended. Okay, so if you actually want to get the most out of Veilguard but don't want to go crazy, this is the way to go. I'm also going to split this up into 3 tracks depending on different complaints I hear. Now keep in mind I'm trying to set you up to get the most out of Veilguard, not the series as a whole. The ideal track. Ideally, to get the most complete understanding, here's what you're going to do. You're going to start off playing Dragon Age Origins, making sure to do the DLC Stone Prisoner, which gets you an extra companion, and Witch Hunt, which is done after the game ends. After that, you will be moving on to Dragon Age 2, playing the DLC Legacy sometime during the game. I guess I prefer Act 2, but your mileage may vary. At this point, you're going to take a break from the games and start reading the novels and the comic. You're going to start off with what we call the Gator comics. The series is split up into 3 chunks, and while I recommend you do all 3 until We Sweep I think is the juiciest part, that said, if you don't read the other 2 chapters, you probably will be coming in confused. After that, you're going to pick up Masked Empire and read that. From there, you start Dragon Age Inquisition, play the Descent DLC at any point you like, and then Trespasser after the game ends. After the credits roll on that, you go back to reading, this time the last flight. Last flight can actually even be read after the main game and before Trespasser. It's fine. And then follow along with Tevinter Nights. From there, then you head on over to the short stories released from BioWare over the past couple years, which again are linked down below, and finally fill up any remaining time you have with the Wraiths of Tevinter comic series. Now, while I do personally think the comics read better before Tevinter Nights, this is kind of already a pretty long list of things to do, and the comics are kind of lower down the list of importance for me, but I still quite like them. The I Hate Old Games track. So you looked into Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2 and thought, this looks like something I just don't want to play. Hey, that's fine. So in this case, I'm going to have you jump right into Inquisition. If you can manage, I'm going to try and be non-spoilery here, but in Inquisition, once you hit a part where people are singing, not like background noise, but people are singing, you should pause and read The Masked Empire. Now, I'm also leaving a lot of wiggle room here. The novel sets up a mission in Dragon Age Inquisition, and once you start reading the novel, you should know which one it is, and when you hit that mission, you can do other things in the game while you flip-flop between reading the novel and then playing the rest of the game. You could technically read the novel before starting the game, but I'm not sure how good the novel sets up the world on its own. So if this is your first time in Thedas, play a bit of the game first, and then go to the novel. Anyway, from here, things are the exact same as the Ideal track. The I Hate Reading track. Look, I'm dyslexic. I get it. Reading can be a lot sometimes. This is probably the simplest track, as you just play the games and the DLC recommended from the Ideal track. Nothing else. Now, I know there are shows and movies from Dragon Age, but they're just really not that important. Now, if you think you would like the comics a bit more than the novels, I would try to throw in those from the Ideal track, and I guess the Missing instead of Tevinter Nights, but to be honest, I don't like the Missing. It's not good, but it does help slightly prime you on some of the stuff that you'll be missing out by not reading Tevinter Nights. So it's pretty short if you want. The Complete. So you're nuts and want to consume everything in the series humanly possible before Veilguard hits. Hey, you know what? I get the urge. I've done it. So, you know what? I understand you. The shortest way I can describe how to do this is head over to the Dragon Age Wiki for this list of all the media in chronological order. I'll link it below for your ease, but this is the list of every single Dragon Age media minus the short stories, which you should absolutely read, and the theme park ride. And that's a whole story. You can check out my video on it, or you can go see it for yourself if you're going to or live in the UK. Check this other video for details on where to find that. Anyway, the best rule of thumb for Dragon Age media is to consume in the order it was released. I think everything just reads better that way. Now, for most of you, this is all you need. But if this list is intimidating, I do recommend starting with just the media on the Ideal track, plus all the DLC and the novels rather than just the ones I listed there. If you are looking to prune down the list, here are my suggestions. The IDW comics are the worst thing in the series and aren't canon, just never do this. Ignore it. Spit on it. It's bad. Don't buy them. Steal those if you even want to read them. Just don't ignore it. Dragon Age Journeys and Dragon Age Legends are cute enough, but are hard to install and get a hold of these days. They just don't really go anywhere, and it's skippable, but there are some YouTube videos that show the meat of these Flash games if you're curious. Warden's Fall is a mini-series, but it was never finished and doesn't really go anywhere, so I'd skip it. The Last Court, which is actually very good, can no longer be played, but there is a fan project that has saved like 99% of it, and it has a bunch of screenshots if you kind of just want to poke around there and read a bit. And the link to that is all down below. Heroes of Dragon Age is also dead. It was just kind of a mobile game that didn't really have any lore. It just had some interesting art, but there are websites that have archived the models for the game. That's kind of fun to look at. I'll link that down below. The Dragon Age tabletop RPGs are fun, but always should be considered a backup to the lore, not like a Bible. So you can like skim through them, or if you want to try to play them with some friends, have fun. And finally, the Dragon Age coloring book was actually released for free during COVID. So if you like want to look at the pictures and not have to look for a used copy that's possibly already colored in, I'll have a link down below for you. And that, my dear Delens, is the best advice I can give to get you on your journey to Thedas. I have a ton of links down below to help, along with a quick blurb on the best way to buy the comics, as there are just multiple collections and it can be kind of confusing for newcomers. So until next time, Duresh Shiral.